Do you believe that destiny can change your life in just 24 hours? Clara, a young worker, just wanted to finish her shift as a cleaning worker. But, in that building, Millionaire Miguel found something that no money can buy: a real connection. In a game of time, secrets, and unexpected twists, can an unlikely encounter transform such different worlds? Stay until the end and discover how a simple conversation can change everything or ruin what little is left. Clara made her rounds around the corporate building. The sound of the squeegee sliding across the floor was the only sound in the hallway. For her, this was just another shift, cleaning up the traces of the day's hustle and bustle. With her hair tied up in a practical way and a simple uniform, Clara went unnoticed by most. But that didn't bother her. Her focus was on saving money to help her grandmother and perhaps fulfill her dream of studying nursing. As she prepared to clean the next floor, she heard hurried footsteps on the stairs. A man in a smart suit entered the hallway, breathing heavily. Clara looked at him curiously, but went back to work. Did he miss the elevator? He thought. Excuse me, is the elevator broken, or is this part of a plan to test my patience? The sarcastic tone echoed through the hall. Clara looked up and saw Miguel adjusting his tie with a slight air of irritation. Maybe it's a test of your fitness, she replied, without missing a beat in cleaning. Miguel blinked, surprised. He didn't expect a cleaning employee to respond so naturally. Fitness? Are you insinuating something about my appearance? He asked, trying to hide his smile. Clara looked up, assessing him for a moment. I'm just saying that taking the stairs might be good for someone who spends all day sitting in a leather chair, he replied, as he mopped the floor with calculated movements. Miguel let out a short laugh. You have an answer for everything, don't you? I'm not here to entertain clients, but if you need me, I can recommend some exercises, said Clara, pointing to the stairs. Thanks for the tip, but I think I can survive without your fitness manual, replied Miguel, leaning slightly, curious. Are you always so sarcastic towards people, or am I a special case? Special, for sure. It's not every day I see a millionaire sweating on the stairs, she said, looking at him with a mix of defiance and amusement. Before he could retort, Clara grabbed a bucket and started to walk away. Well, it was fun, but I have floors to clean. Miguel watched her walk away, intrigued. He didn't know why, but that conversation made him curious. Few people dared to speak to him as equals. He left the hall, but not without looking back. Something said he would still return to that floor. Later that night, as Clara finished her last round, she couldn't get the interaction out of her head. Who does he think he is? He murmured, although he couldn't hide a smile. Millionaire or not, you still need to respect the wet floor. On the other side of the city, Miguel was also thinking about the meeting. Sitting in his office, he reread emails without paying much attention. What was that? He asked himself, still smiling as he remembered Clara's sharp answers. He knew he would return to the building the next day, but not on business. As the night progressed, both Clara and Miguel found themselves thinking about the brief exchange of words, without realizing that this unusual encounter would be the first of many moments that would change their lives. The next morning, Miguel woke up determined. Something about that quick conversation with Clara had awakened him. It wasn't just his curiosity about her sharp personality, but her authenticity that contrasted with the world of appearances he was accustomed to. As he tied his tie in front of the mirror, he decided he needed to see her again. Hours later, Miguel was at the corporate building, but this time without the usual rush. He entered the cafe on the ground floor, grabbed a disposable cup, and sat strategically where he could watch the corridors. It wasn't long before Clara appeared, pushing her cleaning cart. He got up and followed her discreetly to one of the less busy floors. "You again," said Clara, stopping the cart when she saw him. "Did you miss the elevator again, or are you looking for a second round of sarcasm?" Maybe both, Miguel replied, leaning against the wall with a confident smile. But actually, I came to apologize. Clara raised an eyebrow. Apologize? Why? For breaking into your work yesterday, and, well, for disturbing the impeccable shine you leave on the floor, he said, looking at the bucket of water. She laughed, even though she tried not to show it. It's good to know you recognize it. Miguel approached, this time with a more serious tone. I would like to get to know you better. Clara stopped what she was doing and looked at him. To know? Why? Are you bored with high society gatherings? Maybe I'm just looking for something real. And you seem like the realest person I've met in a long time, he said with a slight smile. Clara crossed her arms, suspicious. I work in cleaning. I'm not a charity project, if that's what you're thinking. I know, Miguel replied honestly. But I'm serious. Do you have 10 minutes to have a coffee with me? I promise it won't be a waste of time. She hesitated, but ended up accepting. They went down to the cafe where Miguel insisted on paying. Sitting at a discreet table, they began to talk. He asked about her dreams, and Clara revealed her desire to go back to school to get a degree in nursing. This is incredible, said Miguel, genuinely impressed. Why haven't you started yet? Clara shrugged. Responsibilities. It's not always easy to put our dreams above our bills. Miguel reflected on her response, realizing how far his life full of privileges was from that reality. I know I may not fully understand, but you are stronger than you know. Clara smiled sideways. This conversation was less awkward than I thought. So does that mean I can do it again tomorrow? Asked Miguel. We'll see, she replied, standing up. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an entire floor to clean. He watched her walk away, feeling like he had taken a step forward. Clara, on the other hand, wasn't sure what to think. Part of her was intrigued, but another part kept her walls up. The next morning, Clara was determined to maintain her routine without getting distracted. However, as he was putting his uniform in the building's closet, he heard familiar footsteps. When he turned around, there was Miguel, holding 2 coffees. She snorted, but couldn't hide the smile that threatened to emerge. Do you need something, or are you just expanding your repertoire of interruptions? Asked Clara, crossing her arms. Let's say I want to make your morning a little less monotonous, replied Miguel, handing out one of the coffees. And before you say I'm intruding, remember, coffee is a universal gift. Clara took the glass with a slight roll of her eyes. You know you're going to end up getting me in trouble, right? Trouble? I doubt. In fact, I think I'm making your work more interesting. As she began her tasks, Miguel followed her around the floor, offering help at unusual times. He tried to push the cleaning cart, but ended up knocking over one of the water buckets. You're not good at this, said Clara, holding back a laugh as she cleaned up the mess. I admit, it is more complicated than it seems, but in my defense they never trained me for that, he countered with a mischievous smile. As the day went on, the two ended up engaging in deeper conversations. While Clara was cleaning a meeting room, Miguel sat down in one of the chairs and started asking about her life. Reluctant at first, she eventually opened up. Why do you want to be a nurse? Miguel asked, genuinely curious. Because it's something that makes me feel like I'm really helping. My grandmother always says that small actions can change someone's life. And I think she's right, Clara replied, without looking directly at him. And what's stopping you? Miguel insisted. Money, time, responsibilities. The list is long, she said, shrugging. Have you ever thought that perhaps you are underestimating your capabilities? Asked Miguel. I bet if I put in half the effort I see here, I could overcome any obstacle. Clara stopped for a moment and looked at him, surprised by the seriousness in his tone. You're talking like you've known me for years. Sometimes we don't need years to see something special in someone, said Miguel with a soft smile. Despite herself, Clara felt her heart speed up, But before she could respond, her phone rang. It was the supervisor, reminding her of a pending task. With a sigh, she stood up. "It was an interesting day, but now I need to get back to real work. And you should do the same," said Clara, leaving the room with her cart. Miguel stood still for a few seconds, smiling. He knew he was starting to break through her barriers, but he also felt like he still had a lot of work to do. Clara was cleaning the lobby windows when she noticed an unusual silence. When he looked back, he found Miguel standing there looking thoughtful. He looked more serious than usual, as if he was choosing his words carefully. "Clara, can I tell you something?" he asked, finally breaking the silence. "Are you asking permission now? This is new," she replied, trying to keep her tone light, but feeling the tension in the air. Miguel smiled lightly. "This time, it's important. I think you deserve to know who I really am." Clara frowned. "I know who you are, a guy who insists on disrupting my routine." "Not exactly," Miguel said, stuffing his hands in his pockets. "I own this building, and a few more things out there." Clara stopped what she was doing. "Wait, what? Are you saying you are my boss?" "Technically, yes, but I never held that against you, and I don't want to," he quickly explained. "I wanted you to know me as an ordinary person." She stared at him, stunned. "You knew all along, and decided not to say anything?" "Yes, because every time people find out, they start treating me differently. And I didn't want that with you," said Miguel, his tone full of sincerity. Clara took a deep breath, trying to process his words. "Do you think hiding something like that from me was the best choice? It seems like you were trying to trick me." "I did not mean that. I just wanted a chance to get to know you without any barriers." "But I understand if you're angry," Miguel said, looking genuinely concerned. Clara crossed her arms, still trying to decide how she felt. "Anger is a start, but I'm more confused." Before she could continue, a well-dressed man entered the lobby. It was André, Miguel's friend, who immediately noticed the tense atmosphere between the two. "Do I interrupt something?" asked André with a curious look. "No, we're finishing up," Clara replied, hurrying to get her things. "I need to get back to work." As she walked away, André looked at Miguel. "You told me, didn't you?" "Yes," Miguel replied, sighing. "And she didn't react as I expected. Did you think she would be happy to find out that you are her boss, and on top of that you hid it? Good luck with that," André said, shaking his head as he left. Miguel stood still for a moment, watching Clara disappear down the hall. He knew he had lost precious points with her, but he also felt that sincerity was the only way. Now, he needed to find a way to repair the damage. Miguel spent the night awake, mentally going over all the times he tried to impress Clara and ended up complicating everything. He knew he had made a mistake in hiding his true identity, but he also felt that now was the time to be completely honest. Clara was worth the effort, even if it meant exposing herself in a way he had never done before. The next morning, Miguel decided to act. He entered the building with a modest but significant plan. After discreetly asking about Clara's routine, I learned that she would be cleaning the rooftop terrace. She picked up a bouquet of white daisies, the flowers Clara had casually mentioned as her grandmother's favorites, and went up there. Clara had her back turned, rubbing the metal railing with her headphones on. When she felt a presence behind her, she quickly turned around, surprised to see Miguel. He held the bouquet with an expression that mixed determination and nervousness. "You again," she said, with a tone that oscillated between irritation and amusement. "Don't you get tired of chasing me?" "I'm not stalking." "I'm apologizing," Miguel replied, extending the flowers to her. "And please tell me you like daisies, or I just made another mistake." Clara crossed her arms, looking at him and then at the flowers. "Daisies? How original. But just because you got the flowers right doesn't mean you'll be able to resolve things like that." "I know," Miguel said, taking a deep breath. And I don't expect flowers to fix everything. I'm here because I need you to know that my intentions have always been sincere. I just didn't know how to open up." Clara narrowed her eyes. "Do you think I'm going to believe that hiding who you are was for a noble reason?" "Yes, because it was," replied Miguel seriously. "I wanted to be seen as a normal person, not a millionaire or his boss. And with you, for the first time in a long time, I felt normal. It was selfish, I know, but it was the truth." She shook her head, still hesitant. "Do you have any idea what that sounds like? You hid because you were afraid of what I might think. But what should I think now? That I'm willing to fix this, Clara. I'm not going to ask you to trust me right away. I just want a chance to show that I can be different." Clara looked at him, trying to decipher whether those words came from the heart or were just another attempt at manipulation. But the sincerity in his eyes made her stop. "Do you think saying all this will change the fact that we are from completely different worlds?" "Yes and no," said Miguel, "because what matters is not where we came from, but where we can go together." The answer took her by surprise. Miguel, always so confident and full of quick responses, now seemed vulnerable, willing to take risks. She sighed, feeling torn between logic and her heart. "You really are impossible," said Clara, finally taking the flowers. "I don't promise anything, but maybe you'll have a chance. And please, no more surprises." Miguel smiled for the first time that day, relief evident in his expression. No surprises. Well, maybe just a few, but all good. Clara laughed, letting her guard down for the first time. "We'll see where this goes." As they walked down the stairs together, Miguel realized that despite the differences and mistakes, there was something special there. Clara, in turn, knew she was taking a risk, but maybe, just maybe, it would be worth it.